Hey teachers, we know things are just nuts right now. With the holidays approaching, you have got your hands full between your own life, your family, your students, whatever on earth is going on at school. Grade report's going to be due soon. We just know this time of year is so challenging. So to give back to our teachers, we are doing a very limited time Thanksgiving Black Friday sale. And this sale is so simple. It is one coupon you can use on anything you want. That's right. We are issuing basically a blank check to our listeners, and this coupon is good for 50% off anything. You heard me, literally anything. If you are listening and you use this coupon in the next 48 hours, I'm talking about before the end of the weekend, you can take 50% off any one item that you've had your eye on in the Brave New Teaching world. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to shop.bravenewteaching.com and you're going to use the coupon code 50 on any. 50 on O-N any. A-N-Y. 50 on any, and you can go and get whatever you've had your eye on for 50% off. I hope that you get a chance to use it. I hope that whatever you find brings you joy, peace, organization, and just a happier year ahead. Let's get on to the show.
Well, hello and welcome back to Brave New Teaching. Well, hello, Amanda.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Hello. Welcome back. It has been a minute since we got to record together. And a lot of it has to do actually with, just the crazy season of life and season of the year that we find ourselves in. Hence our topic today, which is going to be basically just ways to save yourself in a pinch.
Because that happens all the time. And
all the time.
There's nothing worse than the anxiety of absolutely no way you can make it into the building emergency kind of situation, and not knowing what you're going to give the kids to do makes the whole situation
so much worse. Well, it's like needing just sub plans on deck that at any given time you can have. But then also if you're not in a place in your curriculum where sub plans pull anything makes sense, having a structure for a plan in place makes it so that if you say, you know what, forget, whatever, the kids are just going to have a study hall that day, whatever, it's going to make it easier to plan that out so that it's structured so that when you do come back, you're picking up fewer pieces, or the pieces you're picking up aren't as detrimental, right? Having emergency subplans in your pocket from sources and teachers that you can trust, right? Also, because we have a bunch of friends that are going to be collaborating today. We have so many resources for you. I don't even think we can begin to talk about it. And knowing that you've got a safety net is just such a
it's a big deal. And so for those of you who are maybe joining us for the first time, this is a part of, like Marie said, a gigantic blog post that is hosted by Ashley Bible at Building Book Love. And if you are meeting us for the first time from that blog post, welcome.
Hello and welcome. Yeah.
And I can say that between Marie and I, we are emergency and regular sub-plan experts. I mean, I can say I've written the stickiest of sticky note kinds of sub plans, all the way to I took a 4.5 month maternity leave.
Yep.
I had sub plans for maternity leave the first time. I mean, in manila folders by month, kind of it was just, you were
working through some stuff. Listen. Yeah.
I've done it all.
I am at a point right now, and I'll actually talk about this, I think, in our, once we go through our intro, where my most emergency are my kids. It's not when I'm sick. When I'm sick, I can make a whatever thing for kids to do. It's really not that big of a deal. I can figure it out. When I have a sick child and I need to rush to urgent care or whatever it is, figuring out how to explain something to another adult who I may or may not know in order for them to teach my classes is I'll just freeze. It's not fawn response. It's freeze. It's not fight either. I can't do anything. Yeah.
It's freeze.
And that's why having stuff like this that I can just go drag, drop, send and it's already written out. Ugh, it's amazing.
It's amazing. So, okay, so if you are arriving here from the blog post, you've already been there. That's awesome. If you are here because you're just here, what you're going to do is after you listen to this episode, you're going to head to our show notes and we are going to link you right over to Ashley's blog post. And that is where you can download all of these ideas for free. Each contributor is giving away their system, their resource, whatever it is that they're sharing for free. So if I were you, I'd go ahead and just download everything to have and then like sort it out later. Like make sure you have all this stuff. And then what Marie and I are sharing on that blog post is actually a template. It's not a resource. It's you'll see it. It's like a printable or a digital page where you can organize your subplans and put everything together. I've actually used it before and I print it and then I literally put a Post-it in each of the sections so that it's ready to go right. If I even can't get to my computer, I just plop it on my desk and leave it there and it's ready to go. I mean, it's that simple, or you can drag and drop things digitally too. So you'll get our template that we normally only offer to our happy hour teachers, which is our teacher work club membership program. That's typically only for them, but we're going to offer it for free in this blog post only. So you can get that there and then everyone else's stuff.
Yeah, it's just a way to like organize all of the amazing stuff that you're going to get. Because we were like, you know what we're really good at? Helping people sift through and figure out how to organize stuff.
We love curriculum just as much as we love the design part of putting it all together.
And I especially like when I can find it all again in the future.
Oh, that's
right.
I like that. Do I guarantee that for myself?
No, that's when I feel like I'm actually successful and somewhat good at this, is when I can find things again. Yes. That I've made. And I'm not shocked by how good it was. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I remember that. It's hit or miss.
It is hit or miss. And I would say too, like, kind of before you listen to everyone else's stuff, like we're going to talk about these specific free resources, but there are lots of episodes that we'll also link for you in the show notes that talk about. Marie and I are really good at systems too. I think that there are a lot of systems that I have in place in the classroom that kind of serve for these moments too. Like one of them is like every unit, I always have a digital choice board. And like a digital choice board is like a go-to for me. Like the kids know how to use it. It's already prepared. And like a easy sub plan for me specifically would be choose 3 things from the choice board and do your Google form.
It's a fallback, right? It's a wonderful safety net. Yeah.
Yes. So like if you don't yet have those kinds of things in place, you should listen to some of these episodes that we're going to link, because that's another, like the next step, like take your emergency subplans. But when you're ready for like systematic things that you can have in place ready to go, we're going to give you some other of those ideas as well.
Absolutely. Okay, friends, if you are new here and if you have been here for a while, you know what? It's time. It is time to cue the music.
You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a teacher from Southern California.
Join us at bravenewteaching.com to find out more about our courses, festivals, and get every episode's show notes.
We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show. All right, friends, like we said in our intro, we are very excited for you to get your hands on all of these freebies and these resources. And this episode is the opportunity for you to hear from some of the contributors. Oh, no, are we hearing from all contributors?
Everyone's here, and
everyone's here.
A lot of them are BNT friends. They've been here before.
Yeah. So you're going to hear straight from the creators of these materials, just a little of their thought process, a little of how they implement and how you can use them. I like to hear directly from people who create things because it helps me understand things, and then I don't have to read instructions. You know what I mean? Like that's me. Like TLDR, So enjoy and stick around to the end of this episode because we will be back at you with a little quick something. Okay, we'll see you at the end.
Hi there, I'm Natalie. I'm a former elementary teacher turned middle school ELA enthusiast, and I love sharing my teaching ideas and activities over at heynatalie.com. Outside of work, I'm a passionate reader who devours anything and everything I can get my hands on, whether it's rom-coms, sci-fi, YA, or even mindset books. Because I have such a deep love for reading, it's always been important to me to create a classroom culture where my students get excited about books too. One of my favorite last-minute emergency subplans is one that's saved me and my students time and time again. A Literacy Day choice board. It's designed to be flexible, low prep, and perfect for emergency moments when you need something ready to go and easy for the sub that you may or may not have. My Literacy Day choice board is inspired by my love for readathon days as a kid. You know, those magical days when we wore our pajamas to school and could curl up anywhere in the room with a stack of books and just read. Today, carving out a full period for choice reading isn't always realistic, but this resource brings that excitement back with a modern twist. So here's how it works. Students start by spending time in their free choice book, novel study, or an article or short story provided by you. After a set reading time, they use the choice board to select one of 9 engaging activities. Now, there's something for everyone, like analyzing a meaningful quote, creating a character diary entry, mapping out conflicts, or even designing an infographic. And what's great is that the tasks are self-scaffolding, so they meet students where they are. They're open-ended enough, there truly is no ceiling, so students can make the activities as challenging or accessible as they need. Plus, it works with fiction or nonfiction, so it's adaptable to almost any classroom situation or book. And here's the best part. Literacy days encourage creativity and critical thinking, but they also lighten the burden on your sub by being completely independent. And if you need multiple days covered, you can even stretch it out by turning the board into a tic-tac-toe challenge. You can grab my Literacy Day choice board subplans for free by checking out the show notes. Because let's face it, we all deserve a moment to breathe when life throws us an unexpected curveball. Thanks for listening.
My name is Dr. Jenna Copper, and I'm a former high school ELA teacher and a current professor of education at Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania. I co-authored a best-selling educational methods book called Keeping the Wonder, and my new book, Roll Call, inspired my favorite emergency sub-plans that I just know you're going to love. When I taught high school, and even now that I teach college, my favorite go-to subplan is finding an engaging article and assigning it to students. It's just so easy, but meaningful. There are so many great high engagement topics out there, so why not engage students with reading? Well, I quickly found that if I really wanted to engage students, I needed to provide more structure. Cue literature circle roles. This version of literature circles is what I call any article discussions. So for this activity, students will role play using different analysis tasks to analyze any article. That means you literally can choose any online article, and your students will have an engaging activity to focus their reading and add an element of writing too. Then, because this activity has built-in accountability and participation questions, your students can complete student-led discussions. I love that they'll hit all the standards, reading, writing, speaking, and listening, all while you're out. Make sure you download this free resource and check out the included winter theme articles that I included for an even easier click and go subplan. Enjoy!
Hello there, my name is Ashley Bible and I blog over at Building Book Love. And if you have ever read my blog, then you know that I am a huge fan of using podcasts in the classroom. And podcasts especially make a fantastic emergency subplan because all your sub has to do is pass out a coloring sheet and worksheet and then hit play. So it's kind of like a movie day, except better because podcasts can usually be completed in one class period. They're usually around 30 minutes long. 20 to 30 minutes is a great length for classroom attention spans. And when you give students coloring sheets, I know it might seem a little bit juvenile, but I promise you they absolutely work like a charm. It Totally helps students focus as they're coloring and listening. And then when you ask them just a few simple questions on a worksheet, they can show you what they know to make sure that they are paying attention and listening to the story. But really, when you have an engaging story, all this is super easy to get them invested into it. And so one podcast that I want to tell you about today that is perfect for an emergency subplan is from History This Week. And this is kind of like one of those calendars where it would, mark what happened in history on this day. That's the premise of this podcast. And they take one day in history and they tell you a story about what happened. And the specific episode I want to tell you about today is titled The Dogs Who Saved Nome, Alaska. This episode has it all. It has suspense, it has sound effects, it has amazing storytelling. I absolutely loved it. It is so engaging. I know your students will be engaged too. They are going to hear a true story about a team of sled dogs who braved the Alaskan wild back in 1925 to save Nome's children from a deadly epidemic. So, while you are resting, your students will be entertained with a story about grit, teamwork, and this daring quest across the Alaskan wilderness. But also, it has an educational aspect where they're going to be discussing the purpose. Is it more to entertain, inform, persuade? There's a little bit of all. They're going to talk about what they learned. And it's just really a great way to explore new topics and to develop their listening skills. So I do not wish any sickness upon you, but I hope that this comes in handy if you need it. All right, talk later. Thank you. Bye.
Hello, friends. I am Abby from Ride On with Miss G, and I am so excited to chat about my favorite subplan. It is brand new and perfect for middle and high school English teachers, and I designed it to be as easy as possible and also as meaningful and relevant as possible to incentivize the students to actually do the work, because we all know just how terrible it is when you are already sick or ill or panicked from a last-minute sub and you get back to school and the kids just haven't done anything. So this is Gen Z approved. It's actually all about a TikTok trend. So if you have been on the internet the last few months, you may have seen this winter arc trend. It's basically getting a jump start on your New Year's goals or resolutions and kind of like hustling hard and locking in to your wellness goals and habits during the last few months of the year instead of waiting until January 1st. So everyone's been posting about their healthy habits and weight loss goals and how to get ahead on their resolutions instead of enjoying cozy season and kind of just taking a step back and resting like many of us do during these few winter months. So, as you can tell, I have some feelings about it. It's like, do we really need another trend, another thing to make us feel lazy and feel like we have to get up off the couch and do something and set these goals? It's like this never-ending thing. So, I obviously have some feelings about it, and that's exactly why I made this subplan. So basically, it's an article, and it discusses the trend, so students who are unfamiliar with it or not on social media can get a feel for it. And of course, students who have already seen this trend are going to have that background knowledge, and it's going to spark some debate. So it's a fun, debatable topic, and basically, it's all about, is this winter arc trend healthy or toxic? Like, how far is too far when it comes to this hustle culture that our culture and social media is always promoting? So it is a nonfiction article, and then it comes with a super student-friendly graphic organizer to kind of take them through the article. And then there are a ton of discussion questions or extension questions. So you could have students choose a few of those and respond to those. You can kind of make this subplan your own, but it's going to get students talking and thinking and debating about this winter arc trend. I think it's perfect, and you can really pair it with many things or use it as a standalone lesson plan. The one thing that comes to mind for me when I used to teach American literature and teach transcendentalism, and then like the dark romantics, especially The Birthmark by Nathaniel Hawthorne, we would talk about our society's obsession with perfection. So I think it fits perfectly into this idea of how far is too far? Are we too obsessed with self-improvement, with hustle culture, with glow-ups, and all of these ideas to be better and healthier and all this wellness culture? There's so much you can discuss. So I think this is the perfect subplan because students will actually want to complete it, and you will be so excited when you get back to school and you hear all of their debates. Like, it's going to be one of those lessons where they can't wait to tell you what they think. So that's always so much better to come back to after a last minute illness. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I am battling one of those right now. So it's just going to be one of those lessons that you feel totally comfortable leaving with a sub. It is foolproof. Subs can handle it because they don't have to do a thing but pass out this graphic organizer. And all you have to do is link up that article on Google Classroom. So I hope you enjoy it, and good luck this winter. Stay safe from all the germs and go rest, and don't feel the pressure to complete this winter ARC trend. See you guys.
Hi there, I'm Melissa Kruse, and I'm a longtime middle and high school ELA teacher turned instructional coach. These days, I keep busy doing what I love, coaching amazing teachers both in person and through my blog, Reading and Writing Haven. Every year, I have conversations with teachers about sub-plans. It's something that can cause us a lot of stress if we aren't prepared. Believe me, I've made the mistake of not having sub-plans ready only to have to wake up in the middle of the night furiously looking for or creating something. Now, when I talk with teachers about sub-plans, our conversations often focus on a couple things. One, we want something that can literally be used anytime. That way we don't have to continually update our subfolders. And two, we want something that isn't going to cause us to fall further behind in our already jam-packed instruction. The solution? Spiral review. Have you ever spent weeks teaching your heart out only to have students tell you right before a test, final exam, or the following semester that they never learned that? We've all had experiences with students and their forgotten files. Research shows that without any reinforcement or connections to prior knowledge, information is quickly forgotten, unfortunately. So why not embed some meaningful spiral review into our subplans? This way, students are getting a natural, spaced review of essential ELA skills, further solidifying the learning that they've already done. Review is naturally a type of formative assessment, giving educators a simple checkpoint to quickly assess what our students know and can do. Brain research shows that students perform better in school when they are re-exposed to previously learned material. So that's why I designed my core ELA skill builders by choosing power standards, unpacking the learning targets in those standards, and intentionally spiraling through them so that students don't forget what they've learned. You can download some of my core skill builders to put in your subplans. Inside, you'll find topics like vocabulary, some root words, words in context, multiple meaning words, some grammar like comma rules, dangling modifiers, sentence revision, conjunctions, figurative language, of course, like alliteration, similes, puns, oxymorons, and we'll have some writing, revising, some simple revision for tone and audience, adding description, inserting transition words, reading for information, things like text structure, use of media, logical fallacies, and of course, reading literature, like impact of setting, identifying tone, and describing mood. And the beauty is that you can easily pair these core skill builders with other materials or use them as a standalone activity. With all of this flexibility, what's not to love? I hope these save you time and add a smile to your face as you prepare some meaningful emergency subplans.
Hey there, it's Betsy from the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast. I'm so glad to be back on the Brave New Teaching Podcast to share one of my favorite quick lesson wins that also happens to be an easy subplan, the silent discussion. The first time I ever did a silent discussion, it was because my regular discussion was floundering. Maybe you've had the same feeling. I knew great ideas were lodged in my students' minds, but everyone was feeling awkward and no one wanted to talk. So I hit pause, asked every student to write a question at the top of their notebook, and then had them pass to the left. Now, everyone had a discussion question in front of them, and I asked them to write a response. After a minute, we passed again and again. The next student could respond to the original question, or to the response, or to the response to the response, and so on and so forth. Suddenly, instead of awkward silence, I could hear the scratching of pens and pencils as every student contributed to our discussion nonstop. The heavens opened up a bit for me then, and the birds started singing. I realized I had discovered a new discussion forum that I would be returning to again and again. One of my favorite things about it is the way it benefits kids with so much to say who might need longer to craft their idea into something they want to share, or who might want extra time to process the language, or who feel shy about what their peers will think. So, what does all this have to do with subplans, you ask? Well, I adapted this lovely notebook passing concept into a series of Google Slide silent discussion templates, and they make for a super simple subplan. All you have to do is drop your discussion questions into the top of each slide, and then your students can participate in a discussion of the reading, whether or not your sub has ever even heard of your text. Your students can read each other's thoughts and type their reactions into the blank spaces on the slides, choosing to respond directly to the question or to each other's comments. They can flip from side to slide, reading and responding with no help needed from your sub, who just needs to share out the link. The best part in terms of accountability, well, you'll easily be able to check in to see what your students have discussed and to give them credit for their work. Just have them write their names after their comments. All right, my friend, I hope you're excited to try your first silent discussion. I'll be sharing the link to grab those free silent discussion Google Slide templates with Marie and Amanda, and I'm sure they'll be sharing it with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martina Cahill. I always say AKA The Hungry Teacher. My blog is thehungryteacherblog.com, and I'm also the Hungry Teacher 8th on Instagram, which is where I spend a lot of my time. I'm so excited about these subplans. So I was actually an upper elementary teacher, and then I made the switch to middle school ELA. And subplans were one thing I actually didn't hate as much in middle school. You know, the grading was horrible, but subplans were much easier in middle school than when I taught elementary. But nonetheless, the thing that was a little bit harder is I now had 6 class periods to make subplans for. So when I was teaching middle school ELA, I was pregnant multiple times and having babies and all these things. So I was became subplan connoisseur. And so what I really wanted was a subplan that I could literally just have to change a couple things each time, and then I was done. So what that meant is I wanted a format where it's okay, here's the thing I just print every time. My subplans are done saying this is what the class period's like, these are my rules, and then this is the activity. And I wanted the activity to be the same every single time, but obviously not the same. I would change something so the kids weren't we did this the last 5 times you were gone. So I have what I call basically close reading subplans. And so the idea here is to make your life so much easier. So the subplan template you fill out, it's 100% editable, and you fill it out once. And in the subplans, it'll literally say hand out the close reading passage or the article to students and then have them do the activity. And so all you have to do anytime you need a sub day is literally find an article, a close reading passage, literally anything, an activity that goes with it. And then that's all you have to change. And if you want to be more specific, you could in the subplans each time change what the title of the article is, change the type of activity, but the subplans stay the same. You don't have to type them up every time. And it's so nice too. I taught multiple grade levels. So I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th, and I also had a high school class sometimes. I also had elementary art 1 hour a day, but that was a whole different thing. But for ELA, I could essentially leave the same exact lesson plans for every single grade, but I would just adjust the article. And the really nice thing on top of that is you can adjust the article or text to whatever you're already doing in class. I don't like leaving stuff for my sub to have to teach, but I don't want it to be so irrelevant to what students are doing that they're what is the point of this? So anytime I had to have a sub day, I would just be okay, what are we doing now? If we're doing literature, could I find a nonfiction article, or could I find a literature, a short story that would go along with it? Or vice versa, that students could do. I used Common Lit a lot, but literally all I had to do was find an article or a text, and it's just literally meant to rinse, repeat every time you need it. And say you have to go multiple days, same thing. You could leave a longer article, or like day one, they read the article and then each day is a different activity. But the sub plans are designed, like, again, rinse and repeat. So I really hope you love it.
Hey, I'm Danielle from English Classroom Architect and the host of the podcast Anti-Burnout for English Teachers. You know that moment when you wake up sick and your first thought isn't, I should rest, but would it be easier to go in than make sub plans? Yeah, we need to talk about that. We can get more into what's happening behind that later, but let's address the immediate problem, the plans. For me, what holds me back is needing something any sub can implement that doesn't need to be a lost day. I don't know if this is what happens to you, but at the beginning of the year, we're asked to create emergency sub plans. These are plans I never want to have to use, not just because it means that a true emergency has happened, but because the likelihood that they'll actually fit into what we've already been doing is pretty slim. When I thought about what I really wanted in a sub plan, I realized I didn't want perfect one-off lessons. I wanted to design analysis work that slides naturally into whatever I'm already teaching. And that's what I want to gift to you. Think about literary analysis. There are certain moves that work with any text, right? Character development, theme exploration, pattern finding. These are the foundations we're always building on, whether we're teaching Macbeth or really anything. So I created 5 complete literary analysis lessons that work with any text. Each one focuses on a different analytical lens. There's a character deep dive where students trace development through specific evidence. They look at choices, relationships, internal thoughts, all the elements we'd normally analyze together. And then there's a theme exploration workshop that helps students identify and trace thematic development. They gather evidence, make connections, build meaning, real analytical work that matters. The literary device investigation has students looking for patterns, examining author's craft. They're looking for how the writing itself creates meaning. And then there's an evidence-based prediction framework where students use textual evidence to make and support predictions around what might happen next. I think it's really great for building those close reading skills. And this is an assignment I use at the beginning of a text to help them annotate smarter. And finally, there's a modern connection study where students explore how the text speaks to contemporary issues and experiences. So each template includes clear instructions for the sub, student-friendly directions, and those genuine analytical tasks. What I love most about these is when you return, you're not trying to figure out how to connect some random activity to your unit. The work they did actually builds towards your bigger goals. Maybe they did a deep dive into a character's choices in that section, perfect for your upcoming discussion about motivation, or they explored pattern development, exactly what they need for essay preparation. Because really, these plans aren't usually about emergencies. They're about continuing the analytical work that matters, whether you're in the room or not, and letting you get the rest you need. These are plans that I actually use, and I find them incredibly useful, and I wanted to share them with you. So I hope they're useful.
Hi, my name is Daina, and I'm the creator and teacher author behind Mondays Made Easy. I know that sometimes life doesn't go as planned, and our sick days can turn into longer absences. If you're going to be away for an extended period of time, you want to know that your students will have a long-term project that they can work on independently. Daily subplans that build on each other and require everyone to be on the same page are a total headache for long-term substitute teachers. And that's why opting for an independent unit is going to be a lifesaver for both you and the person filling in for you. One great option is a reflective reading journal. This emergency subplan features a variety of journal prompts, metacognitive learning activities, and close reading exercises, so your students can cozy up with some solo time and reflect at their own pace as they choose a new prompt each day. This journal is available in both digital and print formats, with the digital version offering remote access and sharing options, so you can check in from home if you need to. It's hard to step away from the classroom, especially for days or even weeks at a time. But if you ever find yourself in this situation, I hope that this subplan helps.
All right, friends, we know, just like us, when you listen to these amazing educator minds at work, it makes your brain go, oh my gosh, oh yeah, I could do that. Oh wait, and I could also do this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm betting that you're probably like walking or driving. So, you can always come back and revisit this episode in order to create that plan for yourself. Also, we want to remind you of a part of Brave New Teaching that is really at the core of why we started this podcast and why we do what we do. And because this is linked to a blog post. We have a feeling that we have some newer listeners here. We know that teachers are amazing at what they do, and especially when they don't have to do it in isolation. Like, the reason that we love what we do so much is because we get to talk to each other about it, because we have camaraderie and connections. And that is why Brave New Teaching started, is to create, yes, a support system for teachers, but like really support through collaboration and camaraderie and just being seen.
Well, and I think that we're a very realistic duo, Marie and I. I mean, we don't
classroom teachers for like a very, like, I've almost been in the classroom for 2 decades, and I'm only, 26.
It's crazy how math works.
I am the Doogie Howser of the education world. And as a 6-year-old, it was really hard starting out. I had no support.
Yes, but we would love to, invite you to not only check out a couple more episodes, but also in the show notes, come check out our Happy Hour Teacher Work Club. We have a program where we get together every month and we work on kind of some specialized goals and plans. A lot of the things that Marie and I do are centered around planning and organizing, but also around tackling curriculum and texts in new and exciting ways. And every month, we really aim to support our happy hour teachers specifically with either backwards design, with novel unit or book club unit creation, and then really giving you the space to implement those things with other like-minded teachers. We work really hard to provide that space for our teachers. So we'd love for you to come check it out and see what you think, and join us if it's the right thing for you. And I think you'll love being part of the community at a whole nother level.
Yeah. And we're really excited because we're finally really figuring out how to make this work for ourselves as working parents, and then through the lens of like how to help classroom teachers in a way that's real and not just more work. So we are excited for what is to come with Happy Hour. And even if you don't join that work club, if you just stick around for some more episodes, if you want to binge some episodes, we're going to be working on some playlists and things soon. So make sure that you get on our mailing list so that you can get email updates about all the cool stuff that's happening at Brave New Teaching in the future. And we hope that this season that you are in, wherever we find you, is, a good one, and that emergency sub plans come in hand because you just had to drop everything and jet off to Italy, like you do on teacher salaries. I mean, if I had a dime for every time I had to just run to Milan, I simply can't teach today. I must go to Portugal. Goodbye.
That's talk about meeting teachers where they are, Marie.
Yeah, right? I feel like there's nothing more realistic than like, fuel up the PJ. We're going. That's it.
We're going.
Yeah.
Also, do you want to go? Well, should we just go?
On our private jet?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's why we have it.
Obviously. Okay.
Duh.
Thank you for everyone's support. Our podcast is so successful that we've purchased a
and yet I'm still a full-time teacher. I just do it for the kids. My why is the kids.
Oh my word, I
hate myself. All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy that blog post. Download everything that you can download, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here, and have a great week at school.